And we're also looking at growing and developing more opportunities for chief operating officers who are transitioning from one place to another. And as someone who is personally had to do this or did do these for years when I was in industry, because sometimes the company got sold, sometimes somebody decided to merge your company and things like that. So this is a very, very, I think, important time for us to be focusing on the COO executive in transition. Laura, do you want to give me the next slide? So this is sort of the, again, I'm not going to read it all, but take a look at this in terms of this is what our objectives and expectations are. We're looking at the transition and supporting each of you on that. We are certainly understanding of the times. The times are very, very different than the last time that we had roundtables with COOs in transition, which was the Great Recession, which it was much more linear in terms of what was going on. Now it's disruptive. We're open to all COO members and chief operating officers and second command executives, and we're not charging anything, and we're not going to go and ever charge anything. We're here to support. This is a pro bono. This is the collection of COOs and chapter directors all around the Chief Operating Officer Business Forum, and all of us are putting in our time to help and support each of you. We're just underway, so something's going to go wrong. I want to let you know I've been in business too long to know that something's going to go wrong, and I need you to smile and roll with us, because this is the first one, and we've rehearsed, but there's just something about the first one that doesn't always get it absolutely flawless. So be kind to us. Let's go to the next slide, Laura. Okay, just a few guidelines, and many of you who've been around the COO Forum know that I always am a guideline freak. So I sort of like to have a few boundaries for us to contain our thinking and to stay within. So one is meeting courtesy. When you're not on the call talking, let's mute, because that takes down the number of pressure, and it also takes down the noise. And I always remind everybody there's always a dog, or always a cat, or always a sibling, or always a child that comes through our calls, because that's a Zoom thing, and that's what makes Zoom so fun and interesting. But because of that, we don't want to be disrupted there. Business first just means, hey, if you have to go to the restroom, you have to go do something, if somebody in your company calls you, just jump off and jump back on. We are not interested in keeping track of where you have to be, and we understand that business and opportunities come first. We like to use business language in our discussions. We like to have no politics, because it doesn't work. And in all of these times in the last 4 years or last 3 years or so. Meeting recorded. We are going to record this and put it into the Mighty Network. The Mighty Network is essentially a place where we have documents and it's sort of our repository of all the things going on in the COO in transition arena. So this is for you. It's separate from our regular CEO e-forum, which is part of the organization and is part of the membership. And then we also encourage you to keep your job perspectives confidential. One of the things we're not here to do is have somebody poach anybody's job opportunity. So we want to support everybody, but we need everybody to also understand that you don't want to be throwing out all the information about your next job that it hasn't come in yet. So, and then after the session, we're going to go about 45 minutes, and then we're going to have open conversation of people that want to have a conversation. And if you want to send a chat in earlier on, you hear something and you want to think we should circle back on it, do that. We will do that for about 15 minutes and get as much of that done as possible. Now I'd like to introduce the people involved in this activity. First off, Laura Weichel, who is our COO Forum second in command for 13 years and is our Executive Vice President. She's based in Greater Atlanta, and she's responsible for leading the many and various activities of the Chief Operating Officer Business Forum, COO Forum organization, and leadership overseeing all chapters, chapter directors, and members. She is a wonderful, upbeat, visionary colleague who creates extraordinary outcomes and successes. And Laura has been with us, as I mentioned, 13 years. She's been a part of our organization. We're also joined by Fiona Murray, who's new to the COO Forum, who will be at the point of this, working directly for Laura, and will be enabling all the good flow of this particular initiative. We have two thought leaders today who are going to speak right after I get through with their introductions. But I'm going to give you both introductions just so we can move smoothly from Igor to Dan. First off, for Igor, after successfully managing sales for Novell and Cisco in emerging markets, Igor ran a $12 billion operational engine for Cisco Europe, and then transformation of their WW services sales op. He became known for reducing operating budgets while enabling rapid growth by helping people understand where to focus. He captured his 20 years of strategic operational expertise in two books, simplifying how to remotely run and transform businesses, and a platform that he took to startups under the umbrella of profit circles. Igor is a member of the Silicon Valley COO Forum and has been in a lot of chapter meetings around the Northern California, but also around some of the other chapters now that we go to Zoom. So he's been a very important part of the evolution of the COO Forum over the last 5 years. Dan Jackson currently serves as a fractional COO at two companies. Dan has over 25 years experience across the C-level and as an advisor director with VC-backed pre-revenue startups to public and multi-office international organizations with over 400 million in sales. He also serves across industry with experience in IT, services, tech, fintech, clean tech, renewables, and wireless information infrastructure support. He has been involved in over 100 M&A transactions, a number of restructurings, and over 30 capital raising transactions. Dan is a lawyer by training, but has successfully evolved to the business side, where his legal expertise and experience proves that a little extra in his decision making, proves to be a little extra in his decision making. Dan has been a long-term member at the COO Forum. I can't even remember how long ago it was, but Dan's been a very active part of San Francisco, Sacramento, and Marin County, where he lives and works. And we're always delighted to have them. So from there, I'm going to turn it over to Igor, who is up, and I'm going on mute. And here we go. And Igor, you have to unmute. Thank you.
I thought I was already, and I wasn't. Good morning, everyone. Bill, thank you very much for the introduction. I'll just share my screen and let me know if you can see the screen. Wonderful. So Dan and I will share with you our experiences from our part of the world of really process of getting into the new opportunities, job opportunities, how it changed over a couple of years, and what is expected from the candidates, and what are our best practices we share, which potentially may help you with your own journey. It is a journey. It is not a fast process, so be patient with the process and pay attention to a couple of things. In the past, we were looking at the job and searching for title. when we find the right title, we're going through the job description, finding skills and traits which are required, and then figuring out how we fit into it. That has dramatically changed with the evolution, with the gig industry, with the requirements and skill set which people have and are requested to have, as well as the work-life balance we are talking all about, which puts in some cases the job seekers in a driving seat. And what we are looking at today is kind of 3 questions to answer when we are looking for a job. So first of all, it's to be heard. And in order you to be heard out there in the space, you need to understand and know yourself. The second piece is to be seen. When you go out to the marketplace, how to do it, who can see you. And it is important in this instance to answer the question, how others perceive you. So it's not only what you think, who you are, but it is very important how others actually see you, and merge these 2 pictures together, because that will potentially help you to zoom in on the qualities or areas which you may be successful in getting job. And the third one is really be hired. And this is all about how you interpret the others, the environment you go to or the environment you seek. And basically, these are kind of the 3 phases of the journey we believe are helpful to focus on. So I'll go within the next 10 minutes through all 3 of them and outline some of the aspects and some recommendations which are useful to focus on. Now, first of all, it is all about you and your preferences in step number 1. And it is the story which Bill announced, and the 11 series which we will share with you, which will actually give you more details into individual steps you should focus on. So as it is about you and your preferences, the market today is really looking at 2 aspects, the mechanics and the dynamics, the IQ, the EQ, the hard skill set you have and the soft skill set you have, or if you want to call it differently, the work experience and how you relate to people. Over the last couple of years, the part of relation to a people has grown dramatically in importance, and a huge aspect of focus for people or companies hiring people is a collaboration, personality traits, the ability to work and lead people. The skill set part is going in importance down for the reason that the skill sets are evolving so fast that it is really hard to get perfect candidate with the skill set unless it is an entry-level job. Now, when you want to go out there and be heard, you are expected to be concise, clear, coherent, and relevant. Because when someone will help you to find the opportunities, they need to be ready to introduce you very quickly. It is useful to find out who you are, use one or another method. I think in the series 10, we'll be showing a strength finder and deep diving how to use it. There are many methods from DISC, famous Myers-Briggs. I've been personally using one called Link Up, which was used by Australian Olympic teams. And these things, although we are looking at them as a kind of an arbitrary categorization, at least the process helps you realize and understand who you are, what your preferences are, which type of job you want to go into. Are you willing to move or not? Do you want to go to a large or small environment? Do you like environment which is structured, or do you like environment which gives you a full autonomy, type of skill set and collaboration and so on? And once you realize that it is good to go to the step number 2, and this is all about the finding and matching. And what we have here is friends. Friends is our best bet. People we know for many years, and the ratio of reaching out and getting meeting with potential prospecting companies roughly 1 to 10. The second step is our network. These are kind of the loose connections, acquaintances, people who know us and we know. And the ratio here is probably 1 to 100. So, I reiterate the word, be patient, because opportunities, your network and you is a three-way connection which needs to click and match. In terms of the last bit, which I call algorithm, which is all the social medias and the platforms which we are inundated with, the chances there for level or C-suite fairly slim. I personally would not recommend to waste too much time there. And one reason is that it's environment which is controlled by algorithms, which are focusing on searching specific keywords and skill set, which is good for junior level jobs, which requires specific knowledge. But for a C-suite, and the soft knowledge is really difficult to articulate through algorithm. And at the same time, at a C-suite level, people really want to get the personality out. So there is no CV or resume which really presents you in your best light. For that purpose, I'm always recommending, when we work with teams, focus on a video. If you want to get out there, after step 1, in concise, clear, and coherent way, record 30 to 40 seconds video about who you are, how you want to present yourself. You'll, those of you who've done it will probably agree with me that this is a very hard exercise, even as a senior executive, to get out there and in 30 seconds to present yourself. You may spend weeks and many takes on a video to do that. However, the benefit of the exercise is that A, you can put it on many of the platforms. There are platforms specialized in video presenting candidates. I came across and work with one which is called intro30.com, and they let you get multiple takes and get the video out there, because people are hiring for personality. Although everyone tells you they are hiring for skills, they are hiring for the soft skills. It is hard to get it out there in the cloud space. So I strongly recommend not only to update your LinkedIn resume, but focus on the video. If you nail a really good video, you will be probably successful even in the cloud space. Now, you have a competition out there. And obviously there are people who are looking for the job as well, and they compete with you. And what is really good sometimes to look at the perception which people have about the C-suite, to turn it from the negative to positive. So people looking at your experience, they may look at seniority. They want to look at adaptability. So build a story which use something which can be potentially seen as a disadvantage and position it as an advantage. Say why your experience matters. Articulate why they are hiring not only you as a best COO, but they are hiring a coach for the organization. Come up with things which really highlight the traits you have, and they can actually turn you into a really positive story. And reaching out to your network and asking them to present you or connect you with your concise, clear, and coherent and relevant story. Use the opportunity at the same time, ask your network how they perceive you. Share with them whatever model you build for yourself. I don't want to recommend one or another, but tell them, this is what I think I am. This is how I think I'm coming across. Can you run through the exercise and give me your feedback? What you'll find out, and by the way, this is an illustration, so it's just to show that how you perceive yourselves is not necessarily how the outside world perceives you, because that will be quite important and useful when we'll move to the third step, and this is to be hired. So now you are equipped with understanding yourself, you know what you want, you know where you fit, you get the confirmation and the clarification what your network and friends believe, you know, who you are and how you are seen. And so you are trying to look for the opportunities. Now the opportunities, you know, may come early, it may come in 6-9 months. You just never know. It's a very dynamic market. So working very actively with your network, the opportunity will at some point show up. And one thing which always, you know, building this plan canvas for you, what is very important to realize in the third steps where you are being hired is how you interpret others, how you can read the environment you are talking to or people you are talking with. You may meet most of them or will meet most of them for the first time. So your ability to instantly read the environment you are talking to, your homework, how you read what they have on the website, how you find out what culture they represent is very, very important and will give you advantage to really recognize if you fit or not, and will enable you as well to maneuver during the conversation and actually hit the right points. So you are, yes, filling the job. So certain skill sets they require or position they need, but even more important is you are fitting their culture. And again, you know, no matter what is being written, companies are hiring for personalities. They don't hire that much for the skill set, although they say they do. Therefore, it is about your chemistry. Focus on how you fit into the culture. What do they say the culture is? Do they actually have defined culture? Is the company aware that they have a culture? Can they articulate that? Collaboration is these days an overused word, but what does it mean for the company? Does it mean that it is a fight for the person who gets on the top and pushes everyone into the submission? Or is collaboration the ability to complement with the skill set and with things which others don't have, and or anything in between? And a competence is really more about learning. It's more about adaptability, your ability to quickly learn and then lead the team or the organization behind you. Now, when you go, and this is a very interesting thing we observed, when you go to interview, it will be probably over video call, Zoom or something like that. So it is quite good to up your game in your media knowledge and have a good lighting, have a good style, presentation, background, and just the whole package, because believe it or not, it makes 30 or 40% of the impression. The companies, when they ask you, tell me about you, we usually talk about our past. I would recommend, again, from the experience interviewing loads of people, past is interesting, but only 30%. I always wanted to hear what people will say, where they will take the environment potentially they are entering. So tell them the story, how you positively impact or evolve their culture, how you will make the team collaborate to better performance, how you will make everyone competent. Again, the soft skills these days, and at the level you'll be looking for the job, are by far more valued than the hard skills of us operators building processes. I will hand over to Dan right now. He will speak to his experience and will provide some life stories which connect the canvas I was painting here as a framework, which kind of should help you to pick up some of the things which resonate with you or which you didn't have on your list, and we'll put the meat on the bone and we'll show multiple examples from his very successful long career. So Dan, over to you.
Igor, thank you. Thank you for that. That was a great presentation. I have to say, I love the slides. I mean, it really is. I wish I could do that myself. And thank you, Bill, for inviting me to contribute today. I think I know why you picked me, right? I'm still young enough to have career plans and aspirations, yet old enough to have transitioned quite a few times. So as Igor mentioned, I will try and share some of my personal experiences and also some practical advice that layers in and onto the presentation that Igor made and the slide that's sitting on the screen in front of us. But before I go any further, I want to remind all of you, and especially those of you who are transitioning for the first time, that you are all successful, right? You've gotten this far, you've had great jobs. If this is your first transition, it seems somewhat daunting, but I just want everyone to know that with focus, hard work, you will land your next position and you'll continue down the career path that's right for you. You know, the one thing I've learned over the years is, since I graduated law school some 30 years ago, is that careers are long. And with relatively few exceptions, they are without bumps and obstacles. They are with, bumps and obstacles. So looking more practically at the three stages, right, as I'm sure you all have been thinking about, you know, it's never quite 1, 2, and 3. It's a little, the edges are a little bit blurry and things cross over and interact, and my discussion today will be somewhat like that. But if you look at step 1, be heard. And I think Igor really hit it on the head when he, put at the top, know yourself. And, in terms of your self-assessment, truly be honest with yourself. I mean, don't, we all know what it's like to puff a little bit in terms of our experience. We've been exposed to this, so now we think we could run a group that does that. I mean, I think all that is fine. I know that later in the series, there'll be, we have experts to talk about personal branding, recruiting, resume, the kinds of things you can include and should include so that people know who you are from a professional experience level. But, from this perspective, I would say to you, focus is your friend. For someone like me, I'm a lawyer by training. I have a finance degree, but I have relatively little accounting. But I have served as the chief financial officer of public and private companies, and I'm often contacted about CFO positions. So I know no matter how much I might need a job, if it's in accounting, if they really are looking for a senior accountant, that's not a job I can do. And I have to be really honest with myself and really clear with the company that that's not a job that makes sense for me, and we shouldn't go any further in terms of kind of exposing each other and thinking about whether it's a good fit. And while it seems counterintuitive, the real answer is focus is your friend, right? For you to think about who you are, how do you help your network understand how to describe you, right? When you think about how you describe yourself to others and what you're looking for, you want to keep it clear, crisp, and short, right? Don't be afraid to practice. And this maybe goes to Igor's point about the video, but be able to try it. When you go to a networking group and you describe who you are and what you're trying to accomplish, If you see a funny look on somebody else's face, change it up, try a different story the next time. Be super clear. I'm looking for a financial or operating position in a $30 to $50 million fintech company that specializes in consumer loans. Make it easy for someone who doesn't know you as well to tell the story about you. Be seen, right? For me, this aspect of my transition effort really lives and dies here. I really have found that, I don't know, it might even be 100% of my opportunities have come from friends and my network. I cannot remember ever applying to a job on LinkedIn or some other service where I dropped in my resume and got a call back. Now, that doesn't mean that I haven't networked to recruiters or networked to boards of directors or other executives in a company. I think that's, I'm sure you will hear over the course of the next 10 weeks that that's advisable. But it really comes down to having your network understand what you're trying to accomplish. My former brother-in-law was a senior marketing executive in tech. And he used to describe, this as your personal brand. And I know we'll have a session on personal branding, so I'm really not an expert there. But the concept is, think of yourself in two ways. There are those that know you and think highly of you as a person and an executive, right? Those people will probably call you anytime something crosses their desk. They know you well. They think highly of you. But the issue is the rest of your network, right? How do you expand your network and expand your experiences with people so when something crosses their desk, they think of you, right? That's the great challenge, is those people who think of you when an opportunity comes across their space that makes sense for you. And that's really the challenge of being seen. How do you expand your presence in that arena so that you bring down more of your network into a greater ratio of success? Now, and in terms of how you use your network, of course, ask for introductions to people, use it to get closer to recruiters, executives, boards of directors, venture capital firms, if you know that they're involved in a company, but make it easy for them. One thing I remember, the first time I asked Bill Shepard to introduce me to someone, he looked at me and he said, Dan, it'd be my pleasure. I've known you for a few years and I think, and I know you well enough to do that, but you have to do this for me. Send me an email, tell me who you want to be introduced to, why, a little bit about yourself, why you think you're a fit, and why he should want to talk to you. And so all I have to do is forward it and say, hey, John, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Dan. I think he'd be worth talking to. And then you can take it from there. So make it easy on your network to make those things happen. Be hired, right? As I mentioned earlier, we all do puff a bit. I can think of myself as when I think of my things that I've said that I can do and manage. And I think that's great. Most of us, and I'm sure everyone on this call, is a very smart, hardworking, intelligent person, and you could probably do almost anything that crosses your desk, even something you haven't done before. But do be wary about putting yourself out there in an area where you really have no experience, and it's something that's a significant aspect of the position that the company is looking for. Things go, I can think about not so much where I've taken a job, but where I've hired people and they've represented themselves poorly. Things go very badly from the beginning and it really never ends well. I can think for myself, there was a time when a friend of mine introduced me to a CEO of an early stage company. And after meeting with him, it was clear to me that they were looking for and needed sort of a startup accountant, someone who really could be effectively a controller as well as a strategic CFO. And, at that meeting, he said he would love to have me join the company. And I told him that I didn't think I could do it. And I felt like it would be a mistake for me because I really wasn't skilled enough in accounting to be able to set up an accounting system and make sure that we had reasonably accurate books and records to move forward with. As it turns out, 2 years later, he called me again and he said, I've taken care of all that other stuff. I've got a controller in place, and would you come in now? And then I ended up joining that company and spending a couple of years there. So in closing, I'd say there are 3 things I'd like you to keep in the forefront of your mind. Be positive, be patient, and you've got this. You really have. You know, be positive. I know this is silly, and this is something that people make fun of me about, but, and I think Bill mentioned this, right? Smile, truly. Think about it. Be happy. Smile when you talk to people. Smile when you go to meetings. Smile when you're on the Zoom call. That, I think, you know, to Igor's point about culture, that positivity will resonate well. And that's the kind of people want in their organization. They want happy people. They want people who are positive all the time. Be patient. You know, if you're in transition, then you have one thing on your mind. One. You've got one priority. It's in front of you all day long. And depending upon your level of savings, it's wearing on you. Yet the people that you're asking for help, whether it be your network or whether it be someone you've already interviewed with, this might not be their first priority. There might be 10 things that are higher on their list of activities that need to be handled. So be patient. Know that just because you haven't heard back is not a negative implication towards you. Just realize that your priorities and the priorities of the people you're dealing with might be different. Give them some time. Be patient. Those that you can trust and those that know you will get back to you and will help you. And the last thing is, you've got this. The first thing you did right was join the COO Forum, right? Not only is it great networking, which is something that you assume you've been doing since you joined, you know, this is a new series. It's a great idea. I think expanding their offerings to try and provide this kind of assistance to members is a great thing. I would also say that you should use your network and don't be afraid or embarrassed to ask for help. You know, we have all somewhere in our lives, whether it be home and personal, partners, friends, family, or professionally, people senior and junior to you, they have all helped you get where you are today. None of us have been able to do this alone. So don't be afraid and don't be embarrassed. Ask for help. Get out there. This is all going to happen. And with that, I will turn it over to Bill. And thank you very much for giving me the chance to speak this morning.
Bill, you need to unmute.
So, Laura, are we ready for Q&A, do you think, at this point?
Sure. I didn't get any questions submitted, so you're open to, Chris has got a hand up.
All right, so we'll go with Chris. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks so much. My name is Chris O'Rourke. I'm delighted to be here, and thank you, Dan and Igor, for those thoughts. Very much appreciate you pulling them together. My question is, you know, the COO role is a very unique and challenging role in that it crosses so many sectors of business, right? It's talent, it's real estate, it's strategy, it's finance, it's IT, it's you know, all the components that keep a business running smoothly. Can you talk to your thoughts on how you communicate your fluency across all those different verticals? Is it important to present yourself as someone that has a certain rudimentary level of expertise across every single aspect, you know, finance, HR, IT, or do you think it's more appropriate to sort of highlight those areas where you aren't necessarily as strong and equally highlight those areas that you have a much deeper sort of core competence?
I'll answer a little bit, but I'd love for you to jump in, Igor. You know, Chris, you know, obviously you've got great experience, and I think I'm going to go to Igor's early comment about how, only 30% of, some smaller, much smaller number of your success will be based on that type of experience. Of course, you want to find the right match between what you know and know that you can do well for your next employer. But at the same time, it's going to be a combination of those soft skills going in, and you'll presumably be applying for a job that requires all of those skills. So it's, to me, the challenge is getting in front of them. Once you're in front of them, you will likely be able to easily articulate those areas where you can be most helpful. And again, to one of Igor's points, help them understand how you're going to take your skill set forward and make the company better and stronger.
I would add to it probably 2 or 3 points. Number one, I would definitely not focus on the areas you think you are weak or you are not skilled. And the reason why is not to hide it, but as I said, everyone expects you are committed to lifelong learning. And I would probably mention, if you feel that there is a gap, I would potentially focus on explaining how fast and in what areas you can get onboarded and so on, how fast you can learn. In a case of presenting yourself as the horizontal leader, this is tough because if you interview, you usually talk to functional leaders. So you talk to CEO who is focusing outwards. You as a CEO are supposed to focusing inwards. You talk to finance, marketing, sales, and they live in their own world. So what proved to be, at least from my experience, the best way is to focus on a case studies or examples from your own life of challenges you are facilitating or fixing between those functions. So they will resonate with people you talk to. They will basically highlight how you are the troubleshooter, problem solver, the father, the parent in the room, or whatever you want to describe yourself. And really the COO position is about gelling the company and bringing it together. And so highlighting that aspect, plus showing some tangible examples, how you fixed problem between lead conversion from marketing to prospects to sales, how you've brought together sales and finance because they speak different languages and one is looking at general ledger and another one is looking at the market and they can never build a plan. If you don't have example, just say the future, how you would do that if they have this type of problem. So painting the future is more important than telling them what you've done in the past, but the case studies and example of the cross-functional collaboration generally works really well.
Well, anybody else who has a question or maybe we should also go to just somebody want to share a story about them that relates to what Dan and Igor have been talking about and something that's worked for you or something that hasn't worked for you. Can I call on you, James?
Also, Bill, if you don't, I want James to hear what James's story, but if you don't mind, I'd like to we have a Zoom video that I think would be useful for those who are interested in sort of polishing up their Zoom skills. But
yeah, this is good. Actually, this is great. This is one of my favorites. Thank you, Dan. There was.
Sorry about that. There was nice music to it, but I couldn't get it to work.
All right. And that'll be in the Mighty Network.
It's actually posted in the Mighty Network, so if you want to go back and refer to it and enjoy the music, it's posted there. You can go see it.
Yes. Okay. All right, James. And you want to share any of your stories with the group here?
I guess the only thing I'd add, funny thing is I'm on an interview today at 2 o'clock. So
All right.
I want to thank Igor and Dan for the insights and feedback as always. Good stuff. Yeah, no, I think, I guess the only thing I'd really add is the point, which is piling on a little bit, but our role is so difficult because it has so many aspects to it. It's really hard, and I completely agree with the point of view about it's a fit, it's a chemistry, it's a style that do you fit in the organization, and can you be persuasive and get your points across in a way that works with the organization and then hopefully the CEO or whomever's in charge. And so you know, that's what we're focusing on today. As a matter of fact, this will be a second interview. What first one was through Zoom, and then the second one will be actually in person, which is interesting. 6 feet apart, of course. But yeah, in the whole point of meeting in person is that chemistry side of it, right? This will be the CEO, and I'll be meeting for an hour and a half and really trying to figure that out. So no, I think and I think the positivity aspect is also really important, because who wants to be surrounded by somebody all day long that brings you down. So again, I think a lot of the points you all made are really fantastic and spot on, and I hope to use some of them that I wasn't thinking about earlier today. So thank you.
Who else wants to comment? Excuse me. Paul, do you have a comment?
I agree with the other people here that the slides are great. The presentations are very well thought out. I really appreciate the work that Dan and Igor did here. And it's so encompassing. You could take these 3 elements and really dig deeper and leverage them in each of the conversations. So know your competition and know who you're interviewing with as well. Very important. And then know how you would apply that. So to take it one step further on the forward speak that Igor was talking about, try to solve problems for the people that you're talking to. Anticipate the problems by doing your homework. They could be industry related or company related or people related. And then be prepared to talk about how you're going to solve them, because that's what COOs do all day long, is solve problems for the CEO and the board. So be thinking about that as well.
So I don't know if everybody knows, but Paul, you're in the business of search and have been for as long as I've known you, and I've known you a long time. And you were there long before I knew you. But
yeah,
so
over 30 years in recruiting.
So as somebody who does this for a living, how has it changed in the current coronavirus interesting times? And what should all of us be kind of looking at a little differently than we did a year ago or 2 years ago?
Yeah, the big thing, of course, is the ability to use video appropriately and have things set up. That little video clip on how to use Zoom, that was so important. I did an interview yesterday, for example, for a CFO candidate, and he had put himself into a closet. He was actually working in a big walk-in closet. And halfway through the video, he put on a virtual background. Like, you should have done that from the very beginning. But everything like you talked about, Bill, distractions. He had cats coming in, kids coming in, interrupting him, and the angle was wrong, the lighting was bad. I mean, it just really was not very flattering for him. And he really should have put on a dress shirt too. That would have helped him, besides the old worn-out polo. We get a little too casual in our quarantine time. I mean, everybody in this video is looking fantastic here, but the idea of framing yourself in the video and having good audio that's not really echoey, which is hard to really follow and understand. I mean, you put so much work in your career. Why shortchange it? You know, spend the $30 for a backlight if you need to make it look better. I spent $200 on this camera that I'm using on top of my computer because it had a much better microphone, so people could hear me better. Little things like that. So don't shortchange yourself here in that last mile of effort. So that's the other big advice I would give people now.
I'm going to maybe make that the last word, because Laura, we have a few slides to show as well now.
Sure, I'm just going to share the screen real quick. Hold on. And just showing that this was the first in the series of sessions that we're running. And a lot of these are going to now tag into what Igor and Dan have presented. This is all on the Mighty Network as well, and we'll be posting the Zoom information in there. I think we might get rid of the password because it was confusing for a few people, so we're going to do away with that and make it a little bit easier for you to log in. But we've got some great people, some great thought leaders and COOs, and some people in transition that'll help walk us through these topics. And then also just some contact information. Feel free to reach out to me if you don't get any of this written down. But if you want to reach out to Igor or Dan or me or Bill or Fiona, just let me know where you can reach us also through the Mighty Network.
And just go back to who's on up next. What's next week's event?
Oh, next week, sorry. Next week is the personal branding. And we've got Kaylin Adams. She's a COO in Portland, Oregon. She's with a public relations company. She's going to help out. And then Juan Montermoso, he's with the University of Santa Clara, professor of marketing there. He also happens to be a co-chapter director in Silicon Valley. And then Paul, who's on this call right now, is just speaking. He'll also be leading that session.
And he's the chapter director in
Marin County. Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to it. It's going to be the best session ever.
Great. And utilize anybody that's on the call. You should all be in the Mighty Network, but if you're not, reach out to me or Fiona and we'll make sure that we get you in there. We are trying to communicate most information through there, and we're posting the video that we showed earlier. We'll put this presentation in there as well, and also a recording. So if you want to share with anybody, or you just want to go back and re-listen to any part of it, it'll be available to you in there.
And if you land, we want to hear about it. Yeah. We want to celebrate. So just remember that we're also looking for one simple outcome, which is the landing. So anybody else have a comment? We have about 1 minute left.
I was just wondering if we have any way of connecting with each other and sharing a little depository where we can share what we're looking for, and that way we can throw ideas or leads back and forth as well.
Yeah, well, Laura, that is the Mighty Network, isn't it?
We can utilize the Mighty Network there, and I don't think you can't say that anybody on here can reach out to anybody and connect on LinkedIn as well and take it one-on-one. You can do that, and like I said, all the directors that are here on this call and members are all in the Mighty Network, and you can connect with them there as well.
Are we sending out a recap?
The recap will be in the Mighty Network.
Okay, so we'll put the recap in the Mighty Network.
Right.
And okay, so anyway, thanks everybody for participating and getting us going. We're still at a very early stage, and we're very excited about the hopefully some great outcomes over the next probably next quarter and the quarter after that. I mean, I think we're there. I did get a mention about Dan and how I like to work, and he described it very accurately. But the truth is that you also have to tell me every once in a while that you're still looking, or you got to send me a note saying you just got the job, because it's really helpful there. Because one of the things I found about C-suite people, including me, is a lot of us just don't keep those things in the air for much longer than a month or two. So there's nothing wrong with firing back and saying, hey, Bill, I just want to let you know I'm still looking. I'm still focusing on this, and this. That's the best for me if you want to have me. And I also personally just comment on, I can't tell you how many times the person who was a colleague of mine who was a senior level, probably more senior than me. When I reached out to the person thinking that they would have no interest in me, they would say, "Oh yeah, let me check in with Korn Ferry. I know they just called me on something that looks like you could do it." And so I wound up with probably 4 different CEO or COO jobs as a result of just people who were former colleagues and bosses of mine. So, and one of the things I learned also was that bosses, even if they didn't like you or even if they let you go, they also took care of you and would try to help find something. So they would, you lose that envelope of anger when you all of a sudden have somebody who, and they let you go because they were downsizing or these, pulling companies together, doing all the different things that they do. So anyway, we're done. Thank you for